Microsoft did the software for all the personal computers that came out. There was the Apple II that we did a BASIC for, which was called AppleSoft BASIC. There was a Commodore PET that we did a BASIC for. There was a Radio Shack TRS-80 that we did a BASIC for. Even Atari, who initially had their own mini BASIC, ended up using our BASIC. So our BASIC was running on every single machine, including that Apple machine. And we later did a BASIC for the Macintosh. We didn't mind doing low-price contracts at the time because we always knew there'd be new versions and more software that we would do, and so it worked out well. As part of that Apple deal, I got to know Steve Wozniak, who was actually an engineer and did software programming, and a bit Steve Jobs, who later I would do a lot of work with because he was deeply involved in the Macintosh work. We had plenty of ways to do new versions and do add-ons and things. So no, the whole structure of the way we license things was that we knew we could write software more efficiently than if they hired the engineers themselves. So we always were able to say, hey, you would have spent $500,000 developing that yourself. We'll license it to you for inexpensive price. We probably could have had higher prices, but we were doing fine. In fact, that 6502 BASIC that Mark Chamberlain and I wrote, we licensed to about 12 different people. And so, our profitability was huge, even though it was a great deal for Apple. Per machine, they paid almost nothing. We had a deal with these MITS Altair people to pay us a royalty for each copy that was sold. And so if people paid MITS, we got a royalty, and if they just copied the program, which was at the time on paper tape, we didn't get paid. And so there was a lot of this going on, and the amount of piracy was going to determine whether Microsoft could hire more people or not. And so I wrote, what wasn't mean or, it was called an open letter to hobbyists that said, by the way, this is copyrighted material, and the more we sell, the more software we'll be able to write. And that started a debate that rages to this day, it'll rage for decades to come, of should creative people who do music or books or software be able to get a royalty for their stuff, or should people pirate it? And there's a lot of complicated issues in intellectual property, but it started early in the computer industry, and a lot of people did actually respond to the letter by coming back and paying the license fee, which was very low. I mean, everything was very, very cheap.